My friends have not even started jobs at Subway yet 3 years later for $6.25 an hour. 2 weeks later, a check shows up for $480. I'm 13 years old, and I was hooked.
This episode is actually a replay of a guest podcast that I was on with my friend Chris Powers. We discuss everything from life to being a good parent to managing wealth to impacting other people. And when this came out on The Fort, which is Chris Powers' podcast, I probably had about 30 or 40 different people reach out to me and say that it was a pretty impactful episode. So I think I'll repost it here. I hope you enjoy it. And again, go check out Chris Powers' podcast, The Fort Podcast with Chris Powers. Thanks for listening.
You actually got to start a company with your dad, which I think is so freaking awesome. So let's start there. How did it happen, and what's it been like to work with your father?
Yeah, so my dad came from a very traumatic childhood. I didn't know that he came from a very traumatic childhood with physical abuse and emotional abuse from a stepfather. I didn't know that any of that happened until I was raised and out of the house. But my dad kind of changed that trajectory, because when abuse finds its way in, or past trauma finds its way in, or instability finds its way in, it's a common occurrence among generations. It's a really sad part of life, is that kids who are raised by families with trauma and issues very rarely get it together. But I wasn't abused, quite the opposite. I was lifted up and, made confident and, given a lot of great things from my dad. And it's just looking back, like, that is the biggest blessing that I've ever experienced in my life. The fact that I was not raised up in a shitty home with an abusive dad is pretty unbelievable, considering what he went through. But he flipped that script and he changed the trajectory of future Hubers forever. It's pretty freaking spectacular.
Did you all get along like good friends, or was he more of like a dad to you? Like kind of a friend, but really like a dad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a respect and a fear and a trust and just a healthy level of all those things. A healthy level of, he was enough of a disciplinarian where I feared him at times. He was enough of a good mentor where I, had great times with him many times. But yeah, he did his job as a dad. Like, he taught me how to suffer with grace. And so he went off, he got me started in my company. If people don't know that, he sat me down at the dinner table and he showed me how a profit and loss statement worked. And he showed me a rental schedule for the truck and the lawnmower. And he got me a commercial contract on a property downtown so I could start a lawn mowing company. Fast forward 6 months, I was hiring a high school kid to drive me around when I was 13 years old running a lawnmower, when most 13-year-olds are put in a bubble and protected from the outside world by their parents. It's pretty absurd to think that I was running a 60-inch wide, zero-turn mower in downtown Tell City, Indiana, as a 13-year-old, crossing 4 lanes of traffic to get from property to property, and then 95-degree heat in the summer. That's radical. Like, what my dad did, that's very radical. Most parents would look at that and say, this guy's out of his mind. But that's how he set me off into the world. And when I go to college and think about, hiring that first person for that moving company that I started, it wasn't that scary, because I had to dig a 900-pound mower out of a ditch as a 14-year-old and just solve problems and strap a tow rack to my truck. And even though I didn't have my driver's license, I was pulling the truck around and pulling the lawnmower out of the ditch, because you're just problem solving in those businesses. So, but yeah, my dad by trade was a VP of construction for a very successful developer. He was never wealthy, didn't get paid a ton of money, but he was running a very big business, from site location to where we're going to build basically nursing homes and assisted livings and apartment complexes. Fast forward 30 years of that, he's built 85 $10 million plus buildings with a team of 8 or 10 people in the small town Tell City, Indiana. He says, Nick, I'm tired of this. Construction's too stressful. The old man's about to retire. The company vision is shifting gears. I can feel it changing. I need to come to work for you. And this was 3 years ago. And I said, Dad, I'm not ready. I don't have the money. I don't have the opportunity. I can't afford you. I can't hire you yet, but let me keep working. And eventually he, 3 months ago or 6 months ago now, he called me and said, Nick, I quit my job today. And I said, well, here we go. You're on the payroll starting today. And it was a pretty awesome feeling.
Oh my God, I might just have goosebumps. I'm going to get into that in a second. I want to go back a second though. I have two questions. One, did you actually want to do this lawn mowing business? Like, or were you kind of like, damn it, I don't want to do this? Or were you excited about it? Or was it a negative thing at first that became a positive? Like, what were your emotions at the time that he was like, you're going to do this?
I was a 13-year-old and I had no idea how business worked. I had no idea what money was. All I knew is that it was 98 degrees outside and there was trash in these yards and I was sweating, and I just had the emotional stability of a 13-year-old. I cried within the first hour of the very first job because there was trash around the grass. There was trash there. This is outside of a movie theater and a Subway. So and a McDonald's is right next door. There's a trash bag full of people's garbage sitting in the yard. I just mowed over it, man, and freaking spit out shitloads of trash in this yard. And I'm just mowing around. I'm like, damn, this is easy. This mower's awesome. And I'm halfway done with the yard. And my dad shows up and he's like, holy shit, Nick, you're making a huge mess. He kind of starts to discipline me. Then he sees my tears welling up in my eyes and he shifts into caring dad mode and says, okay, we got to pick up all this trash. I spend the next 2 hours out there picking up this trash. And I'm like, Dad, I fucking quit. Like, this is horrific. Why am I doing this? I'm 13. I'm crying. I'm sweaty. I'm soaked. There's big old semi trucks driving by. I'm in the middle of the city. I'm like, what is going on? Pulls me aside in the truck, puts a wet towel over my neck and says, okay, Nick, maybe I did get in a little over your head here. But he's like, you gotta just finish the summer. He's like, I promised my boss that you would be able to do this. I kind of signed you up for this. Either I'm mowing this grass or you are. You just got to finish. And I was like, okay, I'll finish the summer for you. He basically did a little charismatic pump up talk, got me excited again, and got me back out on the mower. Well, that night I went home and I sent invoices for $180 worth of work. And it took me 3-4 hours to mow these lawns. And this is all the while my friends have not even started jobs at Subway yet 3 years later for $6.25 an hour. 2 weeks later, a check shows up for $480. I'm 13 years old. And I was hooked from then on. I didn't complain. Again. I wanted more jobs. I wanted to hire more people. I realized that, hey, I made $43 an hour and I'm 13 years old. Let's go.
Big news, guys. I created a free PDF that details my method on how I analyze a self-storage facility and figure out what it's worth. Give me a pen, the back of a napkin, and a couple metrics, and I can figure out about what the property is going to be worth to me. If you want to download this PDF, click in the show notes, the first link, and you can give me your email address, and you get a email right away with a 4-page PDF that outlines exactly how I think about underwriting or giving my initial analysis on a self-storage facility. Again, click the link in the show notes, and you're going to get that document for free. This episode of The Sweaty Startup is brought to you by Jobber. And Jobber is a software that allows service business owners to run the back end of their business with ease. You can get quote request forms right inside the app on your website from customers. You can send out quotes to customers with a couple clicks of a button. You can set up all of your automatic email templates. You can send bills. You can get paid. You can stay organized. You can even schedule your employees. Now, GetJobber is unbelievable, and my brother uses it to basically run his lawn care company without any admin work. And I just highly recommend this service. Visit getjobber.com/sweaty for a 20% discount and a free trial. I think if you run a service business, it is the best way to appear professional to the customers and also be incredibly efficient on your end. Now, one more time, it's getjobber.com/sweaty.